All right, so starting off on the West, we'll do the 5 teams that missed the playoffs. I think it's pretty obvious Portland, Houston, and San Antonio are in the rebuilding phase. I think all 3 of them hit on their lottery picks, but as far as being able to win 40-plus games, I don't think that's going to happen. After that, I got Dallas and New Orleans missing the playoffs. New Orleans is the kind of big upset, I think, or I think they're going to be right there with all the other teams. I think I just like the other teams in front of them a little bit better. Dallas, I kind of could see falling apart, but I don't see them trending upwards. I mean, Kyrie and Luka are going to be able to outscore teams a lot of nights. I think Grant Williams is a great pickup. He's going to have his best season, but he's not the kind of guy that's going to, he's going to hit a bunch of wide open threes, play a little bit of defense, but their bigs just aren't enough to, Grant Williams, Hardaway Jr. playing great is what you're counting on to add to Kyrie and Luka. I don't see it happening.
Right.
New Orleans is just kind of hard for me to, I was wanting to pull for Zion and John Moran. I still will, if they play well, but just hadn't seen it. Ingram and McCollum, obviously great players. I don't really have a reason to keep New Orleans out of the playoffs, but I like the next teams a little bit better. I got Timberwolves, Clippers, Thunder, and Jazz. I think the Jazz will be that last team to sneak in above New Orleans. They're just so deep, and all their guys, a lot of them stay healthy. I think Sexton's kind of the wild card in that mix. Clarkson's a proven scorer. Mark Aiken became an all-star last year. I think, Collins obviously overpaid, but I think he's in a situation where he can get back to at least putting up, decent points and rebound numbers. And they don't need a great power forward. They just need someone that can, hit the open three, play defense a little bit, because they have a big center. I think that'll be him. I think, those kind of young wings on the Jazz will be the difference between them doing anything. I don't think they'll be great. I think they'll be consistent.
Okay.
And then after them, I got the Clippers and the T-Wolves. Clippers can beat anybody, obviously, when they're healthy. I think Plumlee's a nice pickup to give them 2 bigs. But after that, he's got a bunch of stretch fours, which the league's kind of going in that direction. But it's just hard. It's hard to, definitely bet that all those guys will play 60, 70 games and not regress. So after that, I got the Thunder. I think it will be a team that's ready now to at least be in that middle.
Yeah.
The team of them potentially being a playoff team, I think it's here, especially when you got a guy like Shea Alexander, who's an obvious superstar. I think Giddey's potential might be huge. It might just be that he gets a little bit better. But if that's the case, that's fine. And then Holmgren getting added to the team, him being healthy and playing a little bit of defense and being a consistent big is as important to them winning as him. Oh wow, he's an all-star type deal. I think if he is, that's great. If they have a big 3 with, if he's the big 3 in their equation, Jalen Williams obviously a good guy that can play power forward, all the way small forward, things like that. So they got more than they got those 4 guys, and they got other guys that could be really good. In terms of being consistent winning on a regular season basis, I think they're starting to get their rotations in, and they're definitely going to win in Oklahoma. They just got to win on the road. And I got the Timberwolves, mostly because of Anthony Edwards. He's playing with a great point guard for a guy like that wants to shoot a lot. Conley. I love that they re-signed Naz Reid. I kind of wanted to see Naz Reid go start somewhere because I think he's capable of being a starter. But the fact that they got him on a good contract is crucial because Gobert's contract is so awful.
Yeah.
And then the whole difference between Timberwolves being a playoff team and a team that could win a playoff series, I think, is Towns. I think you're going to get a competitive performance from Edwards in the playoffs. And the question is, will Towns be a guy that can consistently score 20 up to 30 plus a game and play defense? It's kind of
right.
Because they have some other things going on in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And then from a top 6 playoff teams, I think 4, 5, 6. I'm going Golden State, LA, and then Phoenix sneaking into that 6th spot. Okay. All 3 of those veteran teams don't want to do the play-in.
Right.
They want a 7-game series. That increases their odds as opposed to playing 1 or 2 games big time because of their experience. But Phoenix definitely did the best with what they have. When you got nothing but men contracts to work with because you're paying 4 guys so much money, I think they did a good job with that. The only thing I was kind of surprised with was them trading, getting rid of Cameron Payne when they don't really have a point guard on that roster.
Right.
Bill. They're going to play a different kind of offense. They got mid-range assassins, the best trio of mid-range guys you've ever seen together on the same team, and all three can shoot the three as well, especially Durant, obviously.
Yep.
And Durant can do it all. I think it's, if anything,
Yep.
the one
3-level scorer.
Durant's not underrated, but if there is an underrated aspect to his game, it's his defense and his ability to get to the hoop as well.
Right.
But I think they're just saying it doesn't matter who brings the ball up. One of these three guys is going to score, and that everybody else is going to set picks and move around for them.
Yep.
So I think that'll work out for them. And then Lakers, same thing. I don't think they're going to be when LeBron and Davis are resting. They have a good team around those two guys. I think their front office got so much heat, and then they just rebuilt that team completely before the break last season, and it worked. They got kind of lucky that those guys, other teams were wanting to, especially the Wizards, want to make that trade for a wing that it turned out to be a lot better than he ever was in Washington.
Right.
Especially in the playoffs, the biggest stage. So I think they got, in the playoffs, they're going to be a different team, obviously. Same with Golden State. I think Golden State will be a little bit better in the regular season because I think Kuminga and Moody have been hungry. It's just a matter of committing to giving them 20-plus minutes a game. I think this season they'll get that. Moody obviously competing with Gary Payton and other guys for playing time. But Kuminga, they kind of need another big.
Yeah.
And not that he's the biggest power forward, but he's a big guy. So to me, he was a disappointment in the playoffs last year. I was kind of wanting to see because he was all right in the regular season, but this has got to be the year for those two guys. They say that other rookie for them might play. All these other rookies, will be a bonus to these teams. I don't see most of the good rookies, I think, went to bad teams. But if he is good, and obviously his game looks similar to Clay's.
Right.
But they need Clay, Curry healthy. Otherwise, they're not going to do anything. I think Paul will help that team. I don't, just to say Chris Paul is going to mess up their chemistry.
No.
That doesn't make any sense to me. The guy's a basketball genius, so it might not be enough to push them over the top. But I don't think Chris Paul is going to make them worse in any way.
Sure.
And then top three, I'm going Sacramento and Memphis. I think are kind of in similar spots where they're young, hungry teams wanting to win every night. Memphis has been that way for the last 2 years. Sacramento surprised a lot of people last year, and I don't think that was a fluke. I think they're going to continue.
Okay.
I mean, for De'Aaron Fox to score all those points in the fourth quarter consistently throughout the season, you can't say he's not in the mix for the top point guards. And they had a better three-guard lineup than the Warriors when they were. I mean, the reason they lost that series to the Warriors wasn't their three-guard lineup. They got, Monk is a great player. Kevin Huerter and Mitchell's a great defensive point guard. So pretty loaded backcourt. They're dependent on Sabonis for a lot. Trey Lyles is finally kind of reaching his potential as a solid backup. And then, Murray can obviously shoot that well as a rookie. He's going to get opportunities to shoot again this year, obviously.
Yep.
So I see them winning a lot of games. Memphis brought in, smart, perfect fit for that team. Memphis has been deep at guard, wing, and forward. I don't think they're as deep up front as they're behind Jaren Jackson as they used to be. So he's crucial. And I love, a lot of games, Desmond Bane's their best player, and I think that's going to continue. I think Bane being a big-time two-guard in the league, he's going to have a 5-year run or so.
Okay.
Pretty much this decade, I think he'll be
Yeah.
he's basically like a 90s two-guard on steroids. He's just,
Yeah.
He's just a big, huge guy that's not afraid to do anything and can get his shot. So And I'm going to pick Denver to win a few more games than those two, though. And I don't think there'll be this regression from them playing a bunch of playoff games. I think, we saw over the course of years that does add up. We saw those guys from the Warriors get hurt. Nuggets, last year wasn't a fluke. They had been decent in the playoffs before. That wasn't their first series win last year. But I think they'll be consistent. Best front court in the league, arguably.
Yeah.
And then I think Jamal Murray is probably, Murray and Porter Jr. especially are still going to be as hungry as they were in the past. And a big reason they won it last year is because those guys came together and reached their potential. One thing I think could be really interesting is if you get playoff Aaron Gordon on offense throughout the course of the season, if that's like a new chapter of him being a big time. Plus that'll open up stuff, shots for Porter, I think. Because all these other, if you got Aaron Gordon doing some stuff on offense as well as Jokic and Murray, that means Porter's going to have a ton of wide open looks as a 6'10" wing. that's why I got the Nuggets winning the regular season.
All right, that's it for the Western Conference regular season. What you got for the playoffs?
All right, so I have Minnesota and the Thunder filling out those last two spots. I think Sacramento is going to get it done this year and win a playoff series. And as good as even if the Thunder and Timberwolves look great, I don't think they'll be good enough to beat Denver in the first round. So
Right.
I think Sacramento is going to get kind of that question mark. Can they win a playoff series? I think they'll go and get it this year.
Okay.
Then Phoenix and Memphis, if that is a matchup, that's sign me up to watch that for sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick Phoenix. Memphis definitely would have a backcourt to rival. If not, it's hard to cover Booker and Beal, but if you can make them work on offense, if John Morant and Bane can make them work on defense when they're covering those guys, I don't know. Grizzlies might have a few guys. No one's got a guy that can lock down KD, but
Yeah.
The Grizz have got some guys that maybe keep him going to the paint and stuff like that, and force them to make it a mid-range game, which a lot of the league's gone away from that. Phoenix has fully embraced it. So.
Absolutely. That's kind of a classic offense versus defense matchup there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's so many last year. There's so many great first-round matchups. It'll be the same, I think, this year for both conferences. So that for Phoenix over Golden State Lakers, I think you get a rematch. That's all the commission could ask for.
Yeah, box office.
It was kind of lackluster. I mean, Golden State, they didn't look that great against the Kings, but they managed to beat the Kings. Same thing with the Lakers. They didn't look that great against the Lakers, but they came up short. I didn't. To me, I kind of wondering if Kerr is an overrated coach. I didn't really like him benching Looney against the Lakers just because he couldn't stop AD. Hardly anybody can stop AD. Looney was crucial to the Warriors beating the Kings last season. So to me, I think Golden State's got more depth this year. I think Kuminga and Moody, they have to make their mark in this league, and if they do, I think they could be potentially better than some of the Lakers, role players and backups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Golden State getting their revenge over the Lakers this season.
Yeah.
And then so moving forward, got the Phoenix versus Sacramento. Harrison Barnes is about as good as you can get to cover Durant. It's also interesting, Barnes basically got replaced by Durant in Golden State. So,
Right.
But that's not going to help him cover KD any better. So I'm going to go with Phoenix over Sacramento, but I could definitely see Sacramento being a matchup nightmare for the Suns. Really, I mean, the Suns don't want to have to cover a guard like De'Aaron Fox any more than they want to cover Curry. I think he's a bad matchup for them, and it'd be if that was the case, it'd be interesting who the Suns threw up against Sabonis. But I think they kind of depend on those two guys too much. So I'm gonna take the Suns.
Okay.
And then Denver over Golden State. This is where I'm gonna do the upset and say Golden State catches fire.
Wow.
And beats Denver.
Okay.
Wiggins, Kuminga, and Draymond, it's definitely a close second to that Nuggets front court that's so good.
Yeah.
So when you got that advantage, and it's not just going to be Curry versus Murray, it's going to be Curry, Klay Thompson, all their, if Chris Paul's playing well, it's going to be all those guys against. And I think the Nuggets with Bruce Brown leaving, I think the rookies from last year could be even better this year and be the difference in the Nuggets, possibly being defending championships with Braun and the other guy they